What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and in this video we got something really awesome for you. We got us a little Dateline parody that I hope that you enjoy. And it's all about a guy going to prison and getting changed by prison. The reason that I put this together, I just want to give you a little bit of backstory on this first, is because this morning I was on Twitter, I ran across this tweet about some Shutterstock photos and basically how these photos told a story, and it was me seeing these photos that made me just come up with this absolutely crazy prison story that's gonna follow in this video. Now, the first thing that I gotta say is the story that we're gonna be telling in this is just something that's made up. But keep this in mind. This is something that actually really does happen. You will have guys who will go to prison and they will be changed in a way just like what you're gonna hear about with this guy Timmy on this Dateline After Prison Show parody. So even though this is something that I've completely made up, and I can't emphasize that enough, this is completely made up. Don't be listening to this being like, oh, hey, I bet you that's Joe right there. I bet you Joe Timmy. I ain't no Timmy, okay? I just wrote this, and it's pretty good too. I gotta say, I'm proud of this, and I do hope that this is something that you enjoy. So without further ado, I now give to you Dateline on After Prison Show. Good evening and welcome to Dateline on After Prison Show. I am your host, Joe Guerrero. Prison, it can change a man, but sometimes that change isn't for the good. And on this episode of Dateline on After Prison Show, we're gonna talk about a man who was changed by prison, but in a way that nobody could have expected. Timmy and Veronica were your all-American sweethearts. Met in high school. Well, Timmy was in high school. Veronica, she was still in the 7th grade. They were in love. Timmy 18, Veronica 13. But what was age anyways but a number? Plus, Timmy wanted to spend the rest of his life with Veronica, even if their relationship was illegal in all 50 states, and could send Timmy to prison for the rest of his life. True love, as they would call it. But not everyone was as excited as they were about this blossoming relationship. Veronica's family certainly didn't approve. In fact, they told Timmy to stay away. But did he listen? Of course not. And in fact, things were about to take a major turn in this forbidden relationship. What would be this major turn about to take place in this forbidden relationship? And how would this change things? Also, do you think it's normal that my neck tenses up this much when I talk? Could this be early signs of a stroke on the horizon? We now return you to Dateline here on After. We now return you to Dateline here on After Prison Show. At 13 years old, what did Veronica really know about love? Well, she had fallen in love with this 18-year-old stud named Timmy, and that this love had to be real because they had been together for 16 days and were about to get some very surprising news. Veronica was pregnant. Scared and unsure what to do, she told the only person she could about this, the love of her life, her 16-day soulmate, Timmy. And being the all-American, good-intentioned 18-year-old young man that he was, Timmy reacted to this news in a way that you might imagine he would. He denied that he was the father, said that there was no way that this child could be his, even said that she was going to have to, quote-unquote, do something about it. Veronica couldn't believe what she was hearing. Do something about it? What did he mean? What did he expect her to do? Well, if Timmy wanted her to do something about it, she certainly did. She told her parents, and when the baby came, and along with little cashmere satin linens, named of course after the same style of sheets that Timmy stole her innocence on, so too did a paternity test, proving that Timmy was in fact the father.
Timmy, all of a sudden overjoyed at the prospect of fatherhood, had no idea what was about to come next. Because soon after the baby came, so too did the handcuffs.
Why would Timmy be placed in handcuffs? What exactly would he be charged with? And also, what would time be like for Timmy if he did have to serve time in jail?
On April 20th, 2007, Timmy was awakened in the middle of the night by SWAT-style police and helicopters kicking down his door to arrest him. He was booked for charges related to carrying on a relationship that was unallowed in all 50 states. She was too young, Timmy, far too young. Surprisingly, Timmy would be able to bond out while awaiting his trial. And during that time, he would try to be a father to little cashmere satin linens. Veronica would even go so far as to forgive Timmy for completely bailing on her during her pregnancy and not returning until after paternity was proven. She wanted to work it out for the sake of their forbidden child, and she vowed to stand by Timmy's side, no matter what, even on that day that he was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Veronica admitted that during the time that Timmy was away, it was hard to stand by his side. She met multiple different Mr. Steal Your Girls, or Jodies, as they're referred to on the inside, and says that she can't put an exact number on the many different relationships she carried on with while Timmy was away. 30? Maybe 50? All she knows is it was a lot. But no matter her infidelities, Timmy always forgave her. For the sake of little cashmere satin linens, he would say, we should try and work it out. But then about 2 days into his time in lockup, Veronica says she saw something changing inside of Timmy. And what exactly that was something that she wasn't sure about.
What would be changing inside of Timmy? And what would be the cause of that change? Would it be a new love interest behind bars? And if so, who exactly would that be?
Timmy admitted that his first night in lockup was no walk in the park. The wolves were on him, so to speak, as soon as the other prisoners found out what he was in there for. He would say that some of the meaner and tougher prisoners started demanding money from him, and said that if he didn't have that money, then he better call home and get some sent to him. Timmy said that he tried to get the money, but he couldn't, and because of that, he was beaten up 7 different times within the first hour of being locked up. It was because of all the trouble that Timmy faced that another prisoner would come to his rescue, a man by the name of Tyrone. Tyrone told Timmy he wouldn't last a full 2 days at the rate he was going, and he offered to protect him, to take him under his wing, so to speak. Timmy was extremely grateful of the protection that Tyrone was offering, and because of that, he told him, if there's ever anything that you need, just ask. And ask Tyrone did many times. Veronica said that the changes she saw in Timmy, they were subtle at first. Was that lipstick he was wearing inside of the visitation room? Couldn't be. Maybe she was still a little drunk from the night before with Jody. And what a night before with Jody it really was. But then came the time when she was in the visitation room with Timmy, and Tyrone popped up. Unexpected, of course, and someone that Veronica had never seen or heard Timmy talk about before. Timmy told her that Tyrone was just his prison best friend forever. Wait a minute, did they just kiss? But if this was Timmy's prison BFF, then why had she never heard about him before? And why was she just now finding out about Tyrone now? When he popped up in the visitation room, Veronica couldn't help but wonder, what sort of weird prison relationship did Timmy and Tyrone really have?
A prison relationship blossoms, and a girlfriend has her suspicions. But what exactly was going on between Timmy and Tyrone behind those prison walls?
18 months would come to pass and Timmy would be released. Throughout the time leading up to his release, Veronica would continue to visit him, and not another peep was ever mentioned about Tyrone. maybe Veronica had it all wrong about anything that really was going on between the father of little cashmere satin linens and this Tyrone. After his release, Veronica would admit that Timmy did act a little strange at times. He now sat down to pee. But other than a few telling signs that Veronica tried to give Timmy the benefit of the doubt about, like asking to borrow her lipstick and mascara, they tried to leave his time in prison in the past. Timmy also tried to find a job, but to no avail. Once he put down on an application that he had served time for the charges that he did, prospective employers didn't want to give him a chance at all. Then one fateful day, while they were out and about, everything would change. A job prospect, maybe? No, something far more sinister than that, of course. Timmy and Veronica were out one day when all of a sudden, out of the blue, almost like that day in Visitation, almost 1 year ago exactly to the day, up popped Tyrone, just passing by, a free man himself now. And it was then, as Timmy looked back at Tyrone almost as if seeing a long-lost love, that Veronica was absolutely sure prison had changed Timmy, and not in a good way either. Veronica confronted Timmy about what really took place between him and Tyrone while in prison, but all he would say was it was just a prison thing, something that she wouldn't understand. He even went as far as to say that sometimes what happens in prison stays in prison. But did it really? It seemed to her now that whatever had happened between Timmy and Tyrone certainly wasn't about to stay in prison. And oh, how right she was, because soon after, love letters would start between Timmy and Tyrone, and even emails and nudes that she knew nothing about that used to make Timmy cry. But were these tears of joy, or tears of sheer pain and terror? It would only be a short time before Veronica found those emails, and also a pair of Tyrone's Taduntaduns between the cushions in the couch. It was then that Veronica finally reached her breaking point. She left Timmy for good, realizing that prison had changed him in a way that made him a fan of the Manzilla, something that Veronica just couldn't give to him. It now became crystal clear as she thought back to that night in the bedroom shortly after his release, that Timmy asked her to, quote-unquote, do him. We tried to reach out to Timmy, but he declined our request to be interviewed. He did, however, send us one final picture of him and Tyrone together. Looks as if they're both working at a 7-Eleven together. They look happy in this picture. As for Veronica and little cashmere satin linens, well, she settled down for the moment with Jody number 62. And the child now refers to him as Daddy. That's all for this episode of Dateline here on After Prison Show. I'm your host, Joe Guerrero. Good night.